I am now a Sonic gamer. Hold up, let's take a step back and analyze how we got here. I noticed quite a few people in my community were massive Sonic fans, and not wanting to be left out of the conversation happening in my own freaking chat, I decided, you know what, I'm gonna try and dive into this franchise. And the first game I decided to really dive into, besides like Sonic 2, which I abused save states for, was Sonic Unleashed, a game that I had tried back when I was a kid, but I never got that far into it. But now that my horizons are more broad than ever, I decided, you know what, let's go back to where this journey kind of began, ignore Shadow the Hedgehog, let's go to Sonic Unleashed and see what this is all about. And I made a video about my thoughts overall on being introduced to Sonic a little while ago. I'll leave a link to that in the description down below. But today I want to focus more specifically on my impressions of Sonic Unleashed, with this, like, halfway impressions with the game. Which is what I kind of want to do for most of the Sonic games going forward, is do a video of my impressions about halfway through the game, and then an overall review afterwards. And with this kind of being the first stepping stone of this whole Sonic journey, and trying to get fast, or go fast, let's kick things off with a bang with Sonic Unleashed. Now, Sonic Unleashed has always been a polarizing game, because it's broken down into two main sections. You have the day stages, which are more traditional Sonic levels, where you're running fast, you're going between 3D and 2D, maintaining speed, getting your rings, getting medals, and just trying to beat the mission or the map, the stage, as fast as you possibly can to get those sweet, sweet S ranks. And I've managed to acquire 3 so far. The 2 in Greece, and then 1 in Missouri. Actually managed to get the 1 in Missouri day, right when the last video was rendering. Yeah, ain't that funny. But since then, I decided to take a bit of a step back, because Sonic Unleashed has one massively polarizing aspect to it, and that is, it locks off main story progression and those later stages behind having to acquire a certain number of medals. See, there are 2 types of medals in Sonic Unleashed. You have your sun/day ones, and you have your moon/night ones. You don't acquire one in any specific style of stage, but all the stages have some combination of both. You just have to find them, or use a guide for the night ones like I did. Having said that, you have to get quite a few of these things, and you can't just beat the stage, move on to the next one, call it a GG. You will eventually be locked off and having to go back, retrace your steps, do those stages again to acquire the amount of medals you need. And yeah, I don't think it's like the best. I think locking off main story progression behind having to go backtrack and charge your way through these stages to find the medals you need feels like older game design, where they incorporate certain elements of difficulty here and there to make the game harder or to extend playtime so that you would play the game longer and longer. Generally not design that I personally appreciate, but right here and right now, it's not the hardest, and I've played RuneScape and World of Warcraft in the past, as well as a whole host of RPGs and JRPGs. I can grind, so it's not like that big of a deal for me. I just think the game would be better if maybe these day and night medals were just locked off for extra rewards, not unlocking, the main story. Hell, I know there's optional stages you can do in this game as well. Maybe having it be have that be utilized to unlock those stages would be better in my opinion. But it's not like they're gonna go back and patch this, so it's kind of... Sorry, it's something in my throat. Just kind of something we have to deal with right now, So if I have 2 major critiques for Sonic Unleashed, that would be one of them. The second one would be the input delay. Now, the way I am playing Unleashed is I am playing the 360 version on the Xbox One. And it seems to me, whether it's some kind of like internal recognition software or algorithm they have to register your inputs, or that each input itself has some kind of delay inherent to it, sometimes it feels like when I press a button, it doesn't do what I say. Most of the time it's fine, like during combat or during the day stages, largely it's fine there. What I'm really talking about, and this really became apparent for me, was in the night stage in Holoska. See, in the night stage in Holoska, you'll occasionally come across a platforming puzzle where it wants you to climb on top of a pole, slide yourself up, and then leap to another pole. Seems simple enough, but I couldn't figure for the life of me how to actually jump. I know that sounds weird, and I eventually kind of figured out you just have to tap the jump button, but the reason I couldn't figure that out for so long is sometimes when I did tap the jump button, it just didn't do it. or I would tap the button, this was something I figured out later on, too soon after sliding up the pole, that it didn't register the input. So it's a combination of the input itself being delayed as well as certain animations blocking that input from being registered. And like, yeah, you can work around it and like the stages are absolutely doable. I eventually managed to get all the medals on that stage after all. Like, it is doable. But would I call that good design? Not really. Which is weird because I'm actually a bit of a fan of the night stages overall. They're not my favorite, I vastly prefer the day stages, but I don't mind the combat, and I think some of the platforming is not that bad. It's just every now and then I'm reminded of like these animation locks, for lack of a better phrase or terminology, and they're more frustrating than interesting difficulty or fun. Like, I enjoy difficult games myself, don't get me wrong, and I don't mind sitting down and learning how to S-rank a day stage or whatever. But it's just sometimes the controls can be a little bit too annoying, or not intuitive, if that makes sense. It is something that I'll just get used to from here on out, so maybe when we get to the full review, it won't be that big of a deal, but as I'm working my way through Sonic Unleashed, and as this is my first real 3D Sonic game that I plan to beat, it is something that I'm contending with. Now that we've dealt with kind of the two main cons that I have for the game, let's talk about the pros, because I think there's a lot of pros to Sonic Unleashed. The day stages are immaculate. The ones in Holoska, I think there's a theme here, by the way, that I just don't like Holoska, but like, the day stages on the whole, I love that sense of pace. And I mentioned this in my first, like, impressions with Sonic video. When you start to learn these stages and you get better at them, you are rewarded with that sense of speed and you're no longer tripping yourself up on every obstacle, and the stage just flows way better than it did before. So you're not just rewarded with a material gain like rings or some XP or whatever, you are rewarded by a better gameplay, and through learning the game and its various nuances and little niche aspects, you are rewarded with better cinematography, with a better sense of pace and more consistent gameplay, where you're running fast, and that's the name of the game with Sonic. And working to get better, you feel getting better because you're having these longer and longer stretches where you're not messing up, and you are seeing Sonic run at these super fast speeds, acquiring all these rings, making you go even faster. You feel that, you're not just shown it in a reward screen. And that's what I really enjoy about getting better at Sonic. Now, the night stages don't necessarily have the same effect, and I can perfectly understand why Sonic Unleashed is as polarizing as it is, because generally, you go into a Sonic game to go fast, to have that pace, to get out of the game what the day stages get you, right? But the night stages are far more slow, they're trotting, they're more methodical. You're learning your different combos, you're platforming. You're going at a way slower pace than you are in the day stages. And as someone who likes to have varied experiences from time to time, I don't necessarily mind having my pace of the game mixed up every now and then. Sure, I think the day stages on the whole are better, but being able to break up that experience with a night stage or something, and getting better combos and all that, is not that bad. I don't think it's the best combat in the world, but I like learning the different combos, and some of the platforming in the night stages is kind of fun and reminds me of my roots as a PS1 gamer, playing Spyro the Dragon and stuff like that, a Sly Cooper in the PS2, Ratchet and Clank, that kind of platforming, you know? It's not the same, but it reminds me of that pace. And having both of these experiences intermixed with one another, it's weird because they feel like on the surface like they don't mesh and they don't belong, but for me, they just kind of click, and they make the experience better, because just as you may be getting tired of one type of gameplay, you can go play a different type and freshen up the experience. That is something that I do think is really cool and fun and enjoyable about Sonic Unleashed. There's also an element of Sonic Unleashed that I really thought going into it would be way more of a deal or an issue or a critique for me than it has ended up being. I wouldn't even say it's a bad thing, and that's just the overall aesthetic. I thought pairing the Sonic characters and how cartoony they look with the rest of the actual human characters would be kind of strange and off-putting for me going into it. Like, I just can't say that I'm that big into, like, the whole, like, animal mascot character design anymore. But, like, the moment I started the game, I just did not care about that. And for some reason, like, Sonic Unleashed just has this, like, charm to it, you know? Like, this aesthetic, where when I'm playing the game, it's perfectly fine for me and actually adds to the experience. Like, seeing Amy interact with the people of Spaghetti Land, which is what I call Spagonia, it was actually kind of funny and charming. Professor Pickle, goated name, by the way. It's actually what happens to Dill Pickles from the Rugrats. Like, they add so much, like, charm to a lot of the character design in this game that it's really cool. Like, just exploring, like, totally not Earth with Sonic, and that kind of, like, unleashed charm, it makes me look forward to each new location just to see how they, like, represent these locations. And there's, like, a lot, like, under the hood in this game. Like, there's a lot to collect, a lot to acquire to show off. Like, each location has its own, like, items you can buy to, like, show off. And I think the lab, I'm still trying to find out where all these items I'm buying go to. The XP system is kind of nice, how you can level up the stats that you really care about. Though, let's be honest, these kind of blow up in terms of the XP requirements. Like, you go from needing, like, 3 or 4 bars of XP to go up a level, then it's like, okay, get me 16 of these, or 20. It's like, okay, slow down a little bit, but it's kind of cool how, like, customizable a lot of aspects in this game are, and just how many different ways this game throws XP at you. Because, yeah, you're gonna have to backtrack to get all those medals that you're gonna need to progress the game. While you're doing that, you can get a whole boatload of, like, XP, and then make Sonic even better for when you get to the next main story quest, or mission, or stage, or whatever. You can add additional combos to the Werehog, or make him stronger, or buff up his shield, or unleash bars, whatever, his HP, or you can make Sonic go faster or have more ring energy, stuff like that. And you feel yourself get progressively better, not just in terms of your own skill level, but also in terms of what you can do and what your capabilities in the game are. The game makes you more capable and stronger to pair up with your ever-increasing skill set so that you can better maximize the gains that the game are like bestowing upon you. That's a really cool synergy that the game has that I haven't really ever heard talked about all that much. Like, maybe it has and I just have not been, like, connected with the Sonic community or whatever, but that's just something that I've been noticing when it comes to Sonic Unleashed specifically. And I've heard that Sonic Unleashed, in terms of the 3D games at least, is one of the harder ones, if not the hardest one, to get S ranks in. And, like, maybe that'll become more of a critique for the other games when I get to them, but honestly, I'm fine either way. I just kind of want to experience how these games do these, like, fast, day-esque stages differently. Like, what's, like, Generations' specific formula when it comes to the gameplay? What about Frontiers? What about Adventure 2? Stuff like that. I just kind of want to see all the different twists and turns they've taken this formula throughout the years. I'm genuinely excited. I did not think I would like Sonic this much. I went into Unleashed being like, okay, I'll probably like the game, but I probably won't love it. I'll just try and beat the main story so we can get to Frontiers. Then I find myself on occasion just trying to go for S rank, or whatever, or just grinding medals. I'm still trying to put my finger necessarily on the pulse of this, but Sonic Unleashed, in terms of its aesthetic and the world, has this weird charm to it that just pulls me in, and it just makes me want to play more of the game. I think on the whole, it's a really well-constructed game, and I'm really excited to see what, like, Shamar and Totally Not New York City have in store, because those are the two new, like, regions that I've just unlocked. I've seen a few clips of the day stages for these places. I really want to get, like, my hands on them and sink my teeth into them. I have heard horror stories about Eggman Land. Dude, I cannot wait to rage on stream about this. Because, like, if you watch my streams of Sonic or, like, any other game, I generally have a decent MO when it comes to this, where if I hit against a wall, I'm not gonna rage quit, but I'll be pissed off a little bit, but I'll eventually get through it. And when you eventually manage to get good enough and come across that obstacle and beat it, it feels so good. And that's one of the things I've been really enjoying about Sonic as well, where it's not just a matter of beating the stage. Like, that's an achievement in of itself, but it's also getting better at it and learning to master that stage and getting that S rank in whatever way you can, because it's not necessarily all about timing. That's what I've learned, because my S rank for Missouri Day was like 12 seconds slower than my best speed or fastest run of that map. But I must have gotten more rings or done the map in a certain way where I got the S rank. It doesn't just reward you for going fast, it rewards you for playing well. and I like that. And with that, I'll call the video there for the day. Thank you all for tuning in. My pleasure for making the video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out and help support future content, and I greatly appreciate it. Stay safe, have a great day, go play some video games, and go fast if you can. And hit the like and subscribe button, and hit the bell icon to be notified when I upload and stream in the future. Stay safe, have a great day, hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you all next time. Bye bye everybody, until we meet again!